Hello, I'm Lois Letchford, reading from the book How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. Chapter 6. Meanwhile, deep in the ocean. Meanwhile, deep in the ocean, but not so very far from the Isle of Burke, a real sea dragon, such as old Wrinkly had been describingly lay sleeping on the seabed. He was indescribably large and had been there so long that he almost seemed part of the ocean floor itself, a great underwater mountain covered in shells, barnacles, and some of his limbs half buried in the sand. Generation after generation of little hermit crabs had been born and died in this dragon's ear. Hundreds and hundreds of years he had slept because he'd had a rather large meal. Hundreds and hundreds of years he'd slept because he'd had a rather large meal. He'd had the luck to catch a Roman legion camping on the cliff top. They were completely cut off, and he had spent an enjoyable afternoon wolfing down the whole lot of them from commanding officer to lowliest private. Horses, chariots, shields and spears. The entire lot went down the ravenous reptilian gullet. And while things such as a golden chariot wheel are additional sources of fibre to a dragon's diet, they do take some time to digest. The dragon had crawled down into the depths of the ocean and gone into a sleep coma. Dragons can stay in this suspended state for eternity, half dead, half alive, buried under fathom after fathom of icy cold seawater. Not a muscle of this particular dragon had moved for 6 or 7 centuries. But the previous week, a killer whale who had chased some seals unexpectedly deep was surprised to notice a slight movement in the upper eyelid of the dragon's right eye. An ancestral memory stirred in the whale's brain, and he swam away from there as fast as his fins could carry him. And a week later, the sea around the Dragon Mountain, which had previously been teeming with crabs and lobsters and shoals of fish, was a great underwater desert. Not a mollusk stirred, not a scallop shimmied. The only sign of life for miles and miles was the rapid jerking of both the dragon's eyelids, fluttering Toothless wakes up. Toothless woke up about 3 weeks later. Fishlegs and Hiccup were at Hiccup's house. Everybody else was out. So Hiccup decided to take the opportunity to check on Toothless's basket. He pulled it out from under the bed. A thin plume of bluish-grey smoke was drifting out from under the lid. Fishlegs whistled. "He's awake all right," said Fishlegs. "Here we go." Hiccup opened the basket. The smoke billowed out and made Hiccup and Fishlegs cough. Hiccup fanned it away. Once his eyes had stopped watering, he could make out a very small, ordinary dragon looking up at him with enormous, innocent, grass-green eyes. "Hello, Toothless," said Hiccup, in what he hoped was a good accent in Dragonese. "What are you doing?" asked Fishlegs curiously. Dragonese is punctuated by shrill shrieks and popping noises